Welcome to the Draw Shop's Get Genius podcast, where we talk to today's business influencers to pick their brain and pull out their genius. It's time to get genius.
Hello, geniuses. Today is going to be a killer episode. We are talking with Amanda Bond from the Ad Strategist. For those of you spending dollars on Facebook ads or just thinking about it, she's here to tell you to stop wasting your time and money. In this interview, Amanda and I get down and dirty on what works and what doesn't when it comes to Facebook marketing. And she works with some seriously elite clients, and now she's here to share some of the raw, dirty knowledge for you to use in building your own strategy so that you can scale your engagement and your business. Over the years, Amanda's learned from personal experience and the School of Hard Knocks what works and what doesn't, and she is no stranger to the challenges that come with building a business. And when you hear her instantly, you will see that she is so super authentic and so freaking stoked on what she does, which is awesome because anybody who's really passionate and pumped about what they do really takes an interest in what you're doing and wanting you to really succeed. So there's things you're going to want to write down. You're going to want to take notes because there's so many great takeaways, but we have everything in the show notes and in the blog post. So enjoy this really rad interview and happy listening. Hey, Amanda, welcome to the show.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me on. I'm so pumped to chat today.
I am equally as pumped. You do some things that a lot of our listeners are actively trying to either learn how to do themselves or have been doing it for a while and they're not having much success. So before we get into all of that magic, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? You know, who was Amanda 10 years ago? What were you doing, and how did that grow into what you're doing today?
Oh my gosh, can I hang my head in shame because it's changed so much over that time? Well, to preface where I am now, I am Bond, owner of a company called the Ad Strategist, and we help people stop guessing and start getting results with Facebook advertising. So we have incredible clients that we've worked with in the past, and we've distilled our methodology down to something that we call strategy. And so that's where we are now with the business. It's going incredibly well, but freaking 10 years ago, I was lost. I was a cluster. I was always entrepreneurial minded, but I had no idea how to make it work. I had no idea how to scale. And heck, Facebook was only just invented over 10 years ago. So. Yeah. I'm sure you remember those days when we used to have to pick up the phone.
Exactly. Crazy. So how did you discover that this was something that people needed help with and you were the person to show them how to do this?
I love this question because I feel like once you figure these things out, and for everyone who's listening, once you figure out what you're really good at or what really lights you up, you almost feel like it was obvious all along, right? Like when I look back at my high school days, I was really freaking good in math class. And I was really good with logic problems and puzzles. And now that I see how we use that with Facebook advertising and how we really help people make strategic business decisions based on the numbers and based on real life calculations that business owners make, like, hey, how much is a lead worth to me? Like, how much do we earn each time somebody comes into our email list? Like, those are real life math equations. So now looking back, I was like, that's what led me here. But until you get to that place, it's not necessarily easy to put all the pieces of the puzzle together. So I was just literally throwing anything and everything at the wall to see what stuck in the meantime. And my business went through so many iterations, and I can list them off if you're interested, just that didn't quite make sense, but it was all leading me towards that pivoting point where the Ad Strategist could be born.
That is so awesome. And I love hearing that because we get asked that a lot, my business partner and I. And, how did you discover that this is what you were going to be doing? We have our great story, but when people ask, and that's why I love to ask this question, what were you doing this many years before you had this business?
Absolutely.
And there are so many, people think, and sometimes it does happen that way where, you have an idea, you start the business, that's it, that's been your focus the whole time. But a lot of times, and especially common with entrepreneurs, is that you start to hear different needs from your audience. And you might have started as, this type of a business, and then you started to really simplify and hone in on, oh, wow, this is actually what they're looking for. And it kind of is that way with anything that you're developing, whether it's a product or an app. It's so interesting how people have this idea, and then when they put it out there, like you said, let's see what sticks. The thing that sticks is like, wait, what?
Wait, how did that come about?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Actually, I'll speak to that because one of the first businesses that I thought it was my golden ticket was going to be something called the Smoke Show Barbecue. And have you ever heard of a rib fest? Like it's kind of like a summer festival where the vendors are mostly people selling ribs.
Okay,
Have you ever heard of that? Okay. So in Ontario, I'm Canadian. So in Ontario in the summer, we literally have a circuit of rib vendors that just travel. So I just like to look at it like a high class carnival. And so that's what I did to put myself through university as a summer job. And I really realized there was a lot of money in doing that. And the reason being was there was a lot of customer psychology around how it was marketed and around which of these traveling rib rigs got the most visits when we were at these festivals. And so I thought it was the Smoke Show Barbecue that would be that really big idea, and I'd be the owner of a future rib rig, and then it would turn into a restaurant, and then we would be so in demand because of the marketing. And then I realized that there was like the startup capital to get started was like $200K. And I just didn't have $200K lying around. But in the process of planning that out, I really got to love marketing. And then marketing was that like parlay into, okay, so if I can do this for this business, I wonder how I can help other people with their marketing. Until you sort of niche down and start to find and connect all those dots and find that path that's truly yours.
Oh, absolutely. I love that. And of course, being a lover of marketing, when Facebook ads first came out, where were you? What were you doing? And how did you, what was your first experience in using them?
You're going to laugh because now I shun people that do this, but I was that girl that was boosting posts for $1 and then wondering why nothing was growing because of that. And I was like, but I'm giving you money. This should work, right?
Right.
So I was absolutely that person that just didn't know how to take opportunity of the platform in front of me. And that was okay because it just meant that I needed to learn how, right? We all start somewhere.
Exactly. And you say, which I love, stop wasting money on Facebook ads.
Yes. Absolutely.
And so initially people are just like, wait, what? Is she telling me not to do Facebook ads? What is she talking about? So tell us what you mean.
Okay. So we're behind the scenes of a lot of major launches in the internet marketing scene, essentially. We have a lot of high profile clients. And when we come on board, we like to come in and be the fixers. So if you watch the show Scandal, we're the Olivia Pope and Associates of the Facebook ads world.
Okay.
But what's happening with even a lot of these big name people who sometimes freaking train on Facebook ads is that they don't have a strategy in play, but they see that one little piece of the puzzle is working. So they just start sinking more dollars into it, thinking that it's the solution, right?
Right.
It's just a tactic. It's not the complete picture. It's not the overall strategy of why we're doing this, how we're getting out there and making our impact in the world and creating a great customer experience. So if you don't know for every dollar you spend what that is going to do for your business and for your customers, I say stop wasting your money on Facebook ads until you can answer that question. And once you have that strategy in place, that's when you can make better business decisions. That's when you can scale. That's when you can reach more people and make a bigger impact. It's that strategy element.
Right. So would you say the biggest problem that entrepreneurs are facing when they're trying to run or learn how to use Facebook ads is that lack of strategy?
Absolutely. I truly think that in our industry right now, there's a lot of disjointed teaching on Facebook ads, because as soon as you figure it out once, it's easy to turn around and teach from a case study standpoint, right? Like, I accomplished this and that's how I did it. And so actually my first program that I ever put out into the world was a case study program, right? And we did extremely well with it because people wanted to know how to take cold and warm leads and turn them into dollars. And that program taught it. But as I went through it, as I got the feedback, as we had more experience working with clients, we were realizing that it was just one small piece of the puzzle, right? So most people are like, hey, here's how we can grow our email list by like 1,000 people next month. Then you say, so what, right? Like, what else is there? So we've kind of distilled it down to this framework. And with your Facebook ads, you always need to be connecting, converting, and closing. And if you're able to visualize, if you're driving right now, please don't like go off into la la land as I say this. But if you're able to visualize the connect, convert, close framework, it's like a circle, right? And they're arrows leading into one another. So those that you're connecting with are then becoming the people that are joining your email list, are then becoming the people that convert into your program. And those that convert into your program are then fueling that word of mouth that is starting that process all over again. And with our Facebook advertising, we need to be focused on all three of those elements, not just one, not just, converting people to the email list, and not just closing because you're going to run out of freaking people to close with, but you need to have a plan that connects with people, that indoctrinates them into who you are, converts them into however it is that you nurture those relationships to put your product in front of them, and then closes them to actually become customers.
I love that. And I especially love that you're beginning with the connecting. And I think that is one of the biggest challenges, especially when you're wrapped up in your business. People forget who it is that they're actually talking to.
Absolutely.
Can you give us say 3 tips on how you can connect? I mean, if it's the first time somebody's seeing an ad, what are some of the things that people can do to connect with people in that little brief moment that they're seeing an ad?
I love that. So let me just first preface by saying, when you implement the connect, convert, close framework, you actually start with the close sides with ads. So if you have a product and it's already converting, you understand that for X amount of people that opt into your email list, Y become customers, then you're ready for ads. If you're not at that point where you haven't sold anything yet, don't spend money. Just don't do it. So we're going to start by implementing those close ads first. And essentially what that's doing is plugging any holes in your bucket, right? Because if you're going to fill up that bucket with 100 leads, we want to make sure that nobody is just dripping out and not being converted. So the first goal is to make sure that we are getting the most amount of people to take those purchase actions as possible. Once that's done, you go over to connect and convert. So connection tips right now, and I know you'll love this because this is absolutely your industry. Video is bananas for engagement right now. So just putting out actionable content, like a hot tip that has to do with your industry. So let's say you train on paleo eating, right? Like a hot paleo recipe in a video format. That would be something that your audience would love, they would engage with. Think of those tasty videos. People go nuts for those, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I don't even cook myself. And I watch the videos from start to finish, dreaming that I could have somebody deliver that to me in seconds. But so just getting into the video, getting over and doing video. So if you're not somebody who necessarily likes to be on camera, do a screen share, right? Don't worry about putting your face on camera, but show them something that they could learn, or do something that's a recipe where you can visually build it, but you don't necessarily need to be in the photo. right? Like, and you have a great tip with what your company does. So do you want to fill that in and like, cause that's a great connection.
Yeah. I mean, just obviously we're doing like animation and drawings, but like the cool thing is that you can mix different mediums as well. So it can be you just sitting at your computer talking. You can do it with your iPhone. You can do, I mean, it's like any kind of quality of video. I know people stress quality, and quality is important when you're doing like an actual production, and even with us with animation and cartooning and all of that. But like you can literally, I mean, I'll sit there and look at all these YouTube stars, you know what I mean, with the makeup tips and all of that. And it's like they started with just holding up a little camera on a selfie stick, doing their makeup in the mirror with bad lighting, and people are like, I have to watch what's next. So yeah, video is just, and I don't ever foresee it dying.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things I like that you brought up the YouTube makeupers, like one of the things that they do really well is then go back and engage with people that are watching their videos. So don't just post it and then disappear completely and then hope video is the answer to all your problems. Like we really need to think of social like a social platform, right? Like you need to go back, you need to ask open-ended questions to your commenters. You need to ask them to like, comment, or share it so that your content can live on from just a video that's posted on your Instagram or on your Pinterest or on your Facebook.
Exactly. Totally agree with that. Engagement is huge, and people want to know that you're listening to them.
Absolutely.
So what in your mind with Facebook ads and marketing online, digital marketing, what do you think will change in the next couple of years? Because obviously we see huge changes just season to season.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the biggest trends that I'm noticing now is that webinars are slowly dying in their current form. So one thing that worked extremely well for a lot of our clients in the past was that webinar registration and getting them to register, sending them out reminder emails, following up in emails afterwards with the replays and the offers. But we're slowly starting to see that shift within the industry because email open rates are going down and it's harder to interact and get your email even freaking delivered by some of the platforms because deliverability is suffering.
Yeah.
And that means you have to have people checking their emails to be able to take action. So one thing that I'm finding as we analyze the data, and if you can't tell that if math was my favorite subject, like I'm already a data nerd. But one thing that we're realizing from the data is that showing up where people already hang out is so much more beneficial than just doing it the old school way of getting people to register off of Facebook, email blast, and hoping they convert. So one of the things that we're doing is actually matching the email sequence touch points that we have for webinars and bringing that over to Facebook with a Facebook ad. So anyone who's registering for a webinar, they're now going to see ads that say, hey, here's the replay that's available if they didn't attend. But if they did attend, we're now sending them on Facebook, a platform that they're spending hours a day on anyways, and saying, hey, remember that webinar? Here's that thing that we're talking about. Here's the countdown that's on, or here's the bonus that we're offering, or here's why it's so incredible and the benefits. So instead of just relying on the email to get people to open and click and get to your sales page, we're bringing that sales page just one click away from them in their timeline.
Yeah, and the less steps they have to take, the better.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. If we can make it easier for people, more people will just take action.
Yep. So what types of clients are you working with? What's kind of the range, and who is the ideal client for you?
Yeah, definitely. So we are going through a big shift here at the Ad Strategist. And at the end of this month, we are no longer working with clients in our ad management capacity. So we are actually shutting that branch of the company down. And now what we're going to be focused on is taking these high-level strategies that we've implemented with brands like Female Entrepreneur Association and Screw the 9 to 5 and large other brands out there. And we're going to make them accessible for the entrepreneurs that are in they're just hitting the 5-figure range. Their offers convert, but they're wondering, how the heck do I now scale?
Right.
And so the way that we're going to be doing that is working with them in a consulting basis where we sit down and help them really map out their plan for connect, convert, close. And then we're going to have an opportunity for them to go through the program and learn how to build that themselves so that they're empowered to always understand their ad strategy. They could write it down on a page. It's going to be so simple by the end of the time they're working with us.
So, and is this something that people who haven't even started to do any kind of Facebook ads at all, because believe it or not, there are still businesses and entrepreneurs that haven't even touched it because they're so afraid.
Yeah. Absolutely.
They can start from being a total newbie.
They can start from being a total newbie if they're ready. So I hinted about it before. Like, if you aren't already selling a product, then you're not ready for Facebook ads. Like, as much as you think it's going to help you speed up the process, if you don't understand the sales process of what you're doing, no matter if you make handmade soaps or if you teach somebody how to use Instagram, like, if you don't understand how to convert somebody into a customer already, Facebook ads will not help you. So you need to make sure that, yes, what you're doing is working from the organic standpoint before an ad strategy even needs to be considered. So if you're not there yet, don't worry. But what you should be focused on is more of the organic social strategy. So you should be looking into how to use Facebook or Instagram or Pinterest or whatever channel you prefer, and how to use that more effectively without putting paid ad spend behind it.
Right.
But once you do crack that code, and like once you are able to say, hey, when I have 100 people that I put into my sales process, 4 people end up buying something. Those are metrics that we can use to understand what those people are worth to you, right? Like, what each one of those 100 people is worth to your business. And if you understand that, that's where we can start putting some money behind connecting, converting, and closing people, because it's no longer a gamble. It's no longer, oh shit, I'm going to sink $1,000 into ads and cross my finger and hope it works. It's going to be like, I'm going to sink $1,000 into ads because each lead is going to cost me $10, right? Like, it's not 2008. Leads aren't 25 cents anymore, friends. Right. So like, each lead will cost me $10, but each lead is worth $38 to me in the end. So every single person that comes in the top of your sales process, you just profited $28. So when you do that, when you spend $1,000 on Facebook ads, you now know that on a larger scale, that's worth $2,800. And so that's when you're going to be able to leverage a strategy. And it's all about amplification at that point, right? Like, getting in front of more people and connecting with more people and putting the offers in front of them that they get fired up about to then get into your email list, and then closing them into the programs that are now tested. You have testimonials and results and social proof. Like, that's really where the big picture all comes together.
Right. So what kind of opportunities might entrepreneurs be missing out on by not using Facebook ads, as, of course, with a strategy?
Yeah. Opportunities are like, I mean, I guess just wasting your money is something that could happen if you don't have a strategy behind it, right? And one thing that we see a lot is that people listen to experts that talk about how to get 1,000 leads in a very limited amount of time with a very limited amount of spend. And then what happens is these leads aren't the ideal audience that are actually going to buy their products or services, right?
Yep.
So now you have 1,000 people on your email list who aren't buyers. And you're like, what the fuck are we going to do with these people, right? Like,
yep.
they're not taking action. They're not doing what you want them to. And now you're just like, okay, well, this person is talking on their podcast about how they converted 15% of their email list, and here I got crickets, right? So if you don't see that big picture first before you start taking action, you're going to miss out on the opportunity to extract revenue from those leads. And like, that sounded really, really businessy and numbery, because I hate when people think of leads and people, email subscribers, as numbers. Like, truly each person that comes into your email list is really a living, breathing human being with their own challenges and dreams and hopes and desires. And when we start connecting with people because we see the big picture of how we can support them, that's when your Facebook ads like truly become the best that they can, because like you give a shit about what you're putting out there and you give a shit what you're funneling people towards.
Exactly. And people can definitely feel that too.
Yeah.
So there's some people out there, advertising. I'm the best at, Facebook marketing. Let me take on all of your ads. And then these people just get royally screwed. What are some things to look out for? What are some questions that people can ask before they, trust their spend money to somebody else?
Great question, because let's be honest, this industry isn't regulated, right? So somebody could have taken one ads program and then been like, I'm a freaking expert because I know how to do it this way. So as business owners, we need to be discerning in who we reach out to and do our own due diligence first, right? Like marketing messages are sexy, right? Like you can look at something and be like, oh, you're going to solve all my problems because you're going to bring me leads and those leads are going to buy things. So the first thing that I would do is, one, understand your own strategy and numbers. Don't leave that up to somebody else outside of your business. As a business owner, you need to understand what the cost to do business are and how much you're actually making so that you can understand, are you profitable or do you have a really expensive hobby?
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So empower yourself. And if you're scared of the numbers, that's okay. Not everyone is really data driven. But as a business owner, if you don't understand those things, you're really putting yourself at risk of letting those sexy marketing messages speak to you and not the reality of what your business actually looks like. So once you know your numbers and once you understand, hey, do I have a profitable and sustainable business? 2 is you start reaching out to potential ads managers or ad strategists to work with. And I would always recommend asking for case studies and asking for case studies that you could possibly have a conversation with, right?
Right.
So not just, hey, here's a blog post about how we did X. Don't be afraid to say, hey, can we chat with this client to see their experience in working with you, right? And then 3rd is don't expect everything to change overnight. Like don't expect ads to be the magic bullet that fixes things, because ads can't fix what's broken. So if somebody tells you that they're going to blow up your business within 13 days, like I want to scream erroneous.
Yes.
Like that's not going to happen. Love you, but no. It takes time to implement a system. It takes time to do it correctly. There are quick wins that can be had, but quick wins flare up and burn out hella fast. So we want to make sure that we're working with somebody that sees the long-term vision. And in doing that, that means that sometimes you have to align your mindset with knowing that you might not break even for the first 3 months, right? And that's a hard pill to swallow, because now we're dealing with financials, right? Like now we're dealing with the ad motions, because you're like, oh shit, money's going out, but I'm not seeing the return that I expected yet. But I do want to give you an example. Like one of our clients that we worked with, for the first 90 days, it felt like we were hemorrhaging money. Like the business owners at that time were making about $100,000 a year. And for them, it felt like a hemorrhage, right? They had just hired a professional to come on and support them with this. Their ad spend, they wanted to spend $50 a day and break even on that. But I wouldn't let them. I was like, okay, we have to start at 25 a day because we're not going to break even on that for the first little while. But every single day we relentlessly communicated and we relentlessly fixed what wasn't working. Okay. So for 90 days, they had to deal with the emotions of cash flow going out, with having faith that it was going towards fixing what was broken and that it would pay off, right? Sounds super risky. But what happened is, because of that communication, because of that measurement, because of the vision that we held, 90 days goes by And all of a sudden, our return on ad spend becomes 167x. Because they had the mindset, they had set aside the budget to do it. They were willing to fix what wasn't working. They knew their business numbers, like I said. And then every single decision that we made was no longer based in the feels. It was based in data. And at that point, we've been working with the client ever since. We started working with them when they were a $100,000 company. Now they're over 7 figures, just by literally being willing to do the work and go through the hard times to get to that vision that they held relentlessly.
And I think that's so important to hear for our listeners, because, there's that saying that which you can measure, you can grow, you can scale. And you don't know what you don't know. And you have to go through this process, which is essentially, like you would call it, a calculated business investment.
Absolutely.
And that's what it is. So instead of looking at, well, I'm not profitable right now. Well, a lot of businesses aren't in the beginning, because you're putting your money in and you're learning and you're learning. And like you said, it's really, what a great takeaway. You're fixing what's broken. Ads are not going to fix what's broken. You have to learn what isn't working, measure it, and then, take that and then make your tweaks. And then, of course, like you said, and 90 days, actually, it feels like a long time. It's not that long.
No, not at all. Not at all. But when you're worried about cash flow going out, it's a hell of a
lot. Yeah, of course. But, the return, and the education that you get, priceless.
Yeah, absolutely. And so many people that are listening are going to hear that and be like, oh, okay, then I'll just start spending money on ads, and then in 90 days I'll have the results. Nope. Again, it's not magic, guys. No. It is not a quick fix. If you don't understand the strategy of what you're shooting for, and literally where you can write it down on one single page and be like, this is the game plan. If you don't have that, if you don't know how you're connecting, how you're converting, how you're closing, and what to track along the way, like you said, what you track or what you measure grows. So if you're not measuring those correct things, you're not going to just be able to dump ads into it, boost a post, and then sail off into the sunset into 6 or 7 figures.
Right.
So I hate to be the bearer of bad news in this instance, but I truly, through my experience, through every single high profile entrepreneur that we've worked with, I see that how much the tenacity, how much that work and the effort that they sink into those businesses along the way pays off. And it is my absolute mission to let you guys know we don't need to constantly work on our business, but we need to be consistent as fuck in working on our businesses and working on the right things along the way, right? Because then we're creating exponential growth. Then every new person that comes into our video views audience that will be able to retarget with Facebook ads is one person now, but that action engaged and nurtured over time, they could introduce 10 new people, 20 new people to your brand in the future, just by a freaking share, because you took the time to consistently work on your business, but not constantly work on your business.
And I love that. Consistently, but not constantly. It's so true. And it's actually productive, effective work that you're doing.
Absolutely.
So speaking of, you mentioned retargeting. Can you speak a little bit about what retargeting is? And then I know you've got something fun for our listeners that they can actually implement in their own business.
Absolutely. Okay, so the bare basics of retargeting, if you've never heard that word before, or if you've heard it, you're like, what the actual fuck does that mean? Retargeting is essentially reminder marketing. Okay, so the reminder part of that statement is important because it's not going out to people who have never heard of you before. It's not going out to people that are just seeing you for the first time. It's a reminder to somebody who has come across your brand in the first place. And Facebook is such a powerful platform. It gives us the tools to do this really effectively. And so what we're able to do is take this piece of code that Facebook provides us as an advertiser. It's a free piece of code. And you go and you place that onto your website. And so if you have a developer, you just pass it off and say, hey, put this in before the ending head tags of your website. I know that sounds technical if you're not technical. Or you go into your theme of your WordPress or whatever platform you're on, and you place it where it literally says Facebook Pixel, the same spot that you would put your Google Analytics code. And what that's going to do is now every single person that comes to your website that has a corresponding Facebook ID, who is a user of Facebook, which is like 162% of the global population.
Yeah.
So anyone who has a Facebook ID who lands on your website, it will send a trigger back to Facebook to let them know that, hey, this person took this action on my website. And now you can tell Facebook, those people I would like to get in front of again. Okay. So now they've come to your website. It can be as broad as just coming to your website and you serve them up an ad for anyone who views your website. Or it could be as specific as they came to a certain page and it triggers a sequence of events, which I'm just about to tell you about, and show you how it's going to go down in real time. But before I do that, there's one extra way to retarget people that is so freaking hot right now. And we alluded to it in our tips already, is we're able to retarget anyone who watches at least 3 seconds of a video that's broadcast either pre-recorded or live from your business Facebook page. And I just want to pause there for a sec. Like, that's not your personal page. So it's not the one that like your mom and your cousins like and are friends with you on. Right. It's your business Facebook page. That's the only place that these videos can be posted that we're able to do this reminder marketing. And it's not your Facebook group. So if you're live streaming or broadcasting from your Facebook group, that is not able to be retargeted either. But if you're putting videos on your Facebook page, you can share them out to your personal page if your audience is, if your friends and family will like that piece of content. And you can share that into your Facebook group. And anyone who's scrolling down their timeline and sees at least 3 seconds of that video, you can now start remarketing to them with the 3 second retargeting views audience. So they're either going to your website and triggering Facebook's Pixel, or you're getting them to watch a small segment of your video, and you can do some pretty ninja things like target based on how much they watch, which we will get into in exactly what I'm going to tell you. So should I just go ahead and
do it?
Let them know where they can go? Okay.
Yes.
So if you're like, Bond, this retargeting thing sounds awesome. I want to learn how to do this for my business. Guess what? I'm going to tell you how. You would just head on over to theadstrategist.com/start. Okay. And, Summer, are we going to pop that into the show notes here?
We definitely are. They're going to be in the show notes and on the blog post for sure.
Awesome. So if you head on over to that site, what you're going to see is a cheeky little video from me, and I'm going to explain exactly what's about to go down in your Facebook newsfeed. So I have a sequence set up that will actually teach you how to retarget your audience. But I'm not going to deliver it to you via email. Hell, I'm not even going to ask you for your email. I am just going to get you to go to theadstrategist.com/start. And then all of the instructions for how to do that will be served up to you into your timeline. So I'm going to give you a big old hey in your timeline, let you know it's because you heard me on a podcast. It's because you came to the adstrategist.com/start page. And now you're going to have a series of videos that will help you create your own retargeting audiences so that you can do this for people that are landing on your website and watching your videos as well.
So great. So awesome. I'm going to do it. I think it's awesome. I'm pretty sure we'll, send this over to our digital marketing team as well. This is so great. So great. Like so many fabulous takeaways here.
Oh, it's been so I love talking about these things because I truly feel like it's so easy, and the barriers to entry in our industry have become lower because of technology. So as business owners, we need to be more discerning about who we listen to get our tactics, to then set the goals that we think are obtainable. But underneath of that all is the damn strategy. And if we don't have the strategy, like literally we're just, as I said at the start, throwing things at the wall to see what sticks.
Exactly. That is so, so true. Amanda, you're so awesome. So
right back at you, girl.
Anybody who wants to get more information beyond that can visit theadstrategist.com.
Yep. We actually, and if you're just getting started, we actually don't have a really comprehensive website. I've built my business to the extent that I couldn't even imagine when I first got started with just a single landing page. So if that's you and your business, you don't have to have absolutely everything figured out to get started. But as soon as you head to the adstrategist.com/start, it'll give you tips and tools in terms of how to get or how to get in touch with us so that we can continue this conversation and answer any questions that you have.
So fantastic. I'm so excited that we had you on the show. This was really, really great. And everybody, theadstrategist.com/start. Again, we will have that in the show notes, on the blog post. Amanda, you are a rock star, and thank you so much for being on the show today.
Oh, it's been my absolute pleasure. And thank you for letting me preach what I absolutely get fired the fuck up about. Can you swear?
It's brilliant. Yes.
And thank you to everyone who's listening. It means the world that you take the time to listen to this podcast and really get out there and grow your business in an effective way.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening to today's Get Genius. You can learn more about The Draw Shop at www.thedrawshop.com, on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Your home for kick-butt custom whiteboard marketing videos. Your ideas come to life. Thanks for listening. Please share, comment, and make any suggestions for future genius guests.